What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bang, coming to you live right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia. Another episode of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Rubbin' is racing, grubbin' is tasting. Man, hope everybody's having a great Wednesday night. Got a lot of NASCAR news to go over after that all-star race there at the historic North Wilkesboro. A few other things popping out in the news today very shortly before the show. But if it's your first time tuning in, we like to start it out with what we call the word of the day. So the way this goes down is every time I say a word, you're going to take a sip of your favorite adult beverage. I always like to say it's age appropriate as well. If you're under the age of 21, man, play along. It's summertime. Kids are out of school, time to stay up late, get some skin knees, sunburn, man, and hang out with some friends. So, hey, get a Monster, get some sweet tea, some Kool-Aid, stay up late, man. So, last week's word of the day was Chastain, which I talked about that quite a bit last week because, you know, everybody's kind of over his BS. So, you know, today's word is going to be, I have no idea, but when Lawrence throws it up there, every time I say it, take a sip of your favorite adult beverage, y'all. So getting right into that NASCAR news, man, if you tuned in Sunday there at North Wilkesboro, you saw an awesome historic venue there. I tell you what, it's amazing to be able to turn that track around and do what they do there. But Kyle Young Money Larson comes home $1 million richer, man, and who would have thunk, right? So driver of that 5 Hendrick Chevrolet, man, I tell you what, he was on a rail. Nobody had nothing for him. Just a fast rocket race car there, man. You know, he kind of makes a little bit of history. You know, he ties Jeff Gordon and Dale Sr. with 3 All-Star wins there. He's still one behind the man, the myth, the legend himself, JJ, 7-time Jimmy Johnson with 4. But as young as Kyle Larson is, 30 years old in that career, you can believe I think he's going to end up holding that all-time record for All-Star wins, man. So, big news coming on, right? It came out a little bit earlier today before I got on the show, man. I tell you what, next-gen chassis changes, man. NASCAR made some updates after that wreck there at Talladega between Kyle Larson and Ryan Preece. They took both those cars back to the R&D department, and they made some adjustments, man. So in those door panels where we saw them hit for sure, they're adding in 6 new bars. Basically, it's just to support those side rails right there, basically 3 little short bars in between. Which is definitely going to help support that crushing in the way we saw that it happen there with Kyle Larson's car. And they also are removing the V-bars in that front clip, basically bars like this. And what that's going to do is help make that front end, that nose, a lot softer to crumple instead of being more like a dart or a point there. So I always like to see proactive safety moves, especially in NASCAR, man. I tell you what, we've come a long way throughout the last, really, you say 15 years alone in just safety and what they do, and they continue to be proactive on it. So got to give NASCAR a big pat on the back for that one as well, man. So Bubba Wallace back in the news, man. Well, damn. And after the race at North Wilkesboro, there was an incident with radio communication, and we're going to talk about some other stuff that happened with Bubba as well, but we're going to say that for later in the show. But there was an incident with radio communication, man, and somebody had hacked into their scanner, which this isn't the first time that's happened to any NASCAR driver. It's happened throughout the years quite a few times. They do a pretty good job to prevent it, but it happened. And Bubba didn't hear the comments, but I'm going to repeat the comments as follows, and this is what it stated. It basically said, go back to where you came from, you asshole. Nobody wants you in NASCAR. So I'm going to talk about my feelings and concerns with that comment here later on in the race. But, you know, there's always a little bit of drama somewhere surrounding Bubba. So hopefully we get back to talking good things. And like I said, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that incident and some other ones there at North Wilkesboro and just the all-around vibe of Bubba Wallace here in just a bit, man. So if anybody watched that All-Star race, we got to watch the All-Star Open as well, which was a pretty good race if you ask me. I mean, it wasn't bad. You know, hey, you had 2 cars pretty much that I think everybody kind of knew was going to be the class of the field. 3 that I think kind of had a shot to win it, you know, and that's the 54 of Ty Gibbs, 48 of Josh Berry, and the 10 of Eric Almirola, man. I tell you what, that was just a good race pretty much between those 3 cars. You know, there's a little bit there going on with Michael McDowell in the 54. McDowell kind of felt like the 54 just kind of roughed him up, pushed him up into another car and got into the wall and kind of ruined his day. A little bit of payback there later on in the race. If you watched it, you saw he kind of got down in front of Ty Gibbs there once, kind of pinned him down on the side there another time into one of the turns there, squeezing him off, killing some momentum. helping Josh Berry really kind of regain that lead. But after the Open was the good comments, man. And McDowell pretty much said, he goes, look, I don't have the money for the fine, because if I did, I wouldn't be standing here. I'd be down there, referring to basically where Ty Gibbs' car was parked on pit road. So, look, I think it was more of a racing incident to me. I mean, North Wilkesboro especially, you got to bump, you got to dump. I mean, it's pretty much what it is. If you're faster, you can only hang out for a while. I mean, we saw the gap grow just from Josh Berry to Ty Gibbs when he had the lead. And to see, kind of what happened with McDowell and Josh Berry get out front, and Ty Gibbs, the prophet, trying to come back and catch him, it didn't surprise me at all. So at the end of the race, Ty Gibbs' comments were typical Ty Gibbs. I mean, that's kind of, what we've learned to grow. He's been kind of quiet this season, which is nice as a rookie. I think you kind of need to earn your dues and get a little bit of respect on the track before you can start bumping gums out there. And he didn't say anything too bad. I've seen him say worse, but typical prophet fashion, had something to say about McDowell, but hated it for McDowell. And man, I tell you what, I think Eric Almirola had one of the better cars, just really couldn't get that track position or close enough up there to Gibbs. He got there a couple times. He just didn't kind of use the bumper and move him out of the way, which for $1 million or a shot at $1 million, I feel like that's kind of what you got to do, and it's understandable, right? It's not a point race. It's pretty much you're going to have to dump a guy at some point in time. So hated that for Eric Almirola, but Josh Berry ends up winning it, and Ty the Prophet Gibbs moves on as well, man. So if you haven't yet, y'all, please go out, like, share, follow, all that social media, man. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook and Twitter. But most of all, make sure you check out that YouTube channel, Rubbin' and Grubbin', man. Subscribe to that if you haven't yet. If you've got some buddies out there that, are into NASCAR, make sure you subscribe to get them to subscribe as well, man. It's just the more eyes we get on it, hopefully the more, talk we get about not only NASCAR and the show, but the charitable events that we do here at Coach's Corner and Thunderbolt, man. So like I said, spread that love for sure. But seems like the Coca-Cola, man, Coca-Cola 600 has sold out. Another one of NASCAR's crown jewels, second year in a row. Grandstand tickets are sold out for the Coke 600. I tell you what, this is one that I've got to get my wife up to. She's never been to it. I've been quite a few times. I think three or four total. Not a yearly staple for me. Usually, if anybody knows me, I got to work on the weekends and do my thing. So it's a little bit different. Hard to make all the NASCAR races without taking time off, and getting time off where I work is pretty rough. So at the end of the day, I'm going to get her up there, man. But great news, not only for Charlotte Motor Speedway and everybody involved there, but just a great venue to sell out, and great news for NASCAR fans. It seems like we're back on the climb, man. I've said it the past 3 to 4 years, you're seeing, an incline a little bit. Maybe not week to week of every rating growing, but you're seeing a lot more people turn out for the races and the venues and what's going down. So it's just great business. So hopefully we continue to build on that and just keep growing that sport back to what it was. I don't know if we'll ever reach that pinnacle of NASCAR there through the late 90s and early 2000s, but we can damn sure give it a whirl, man, and I think that's what we're starting to do. So more news, man. Alex the Showman Bowman making his return here at Charlotte this week. If you know and been keeping up with the news, Alex injured himself, cracked a vertebrae there in his back, or in his neck. I don't know exactly the location or where it was at, but cracked one there doing a dirt race, and was out. I think what's this, 3 or 4 weeks? 4 weeks now, I think. And this is pretty much when he said he would be back. So it's good to see him back. And I, look, 48, you can never count them out, man. It's a long race. I look at it like if you're going to come back on one, this is really getting your feet back wet and get it acclimated to the car. It's not going to be one of the hotter races of the year, I don't think. The temperatures there from night to day definitely cool off for you. But just the strain on that body from being out of the car and out of race car shape for 4 weeks, we're going to see what Alex got for sure. Hopefully he's been hydrating, which knowing Alex, I'm sure he has. But kind of piggybacking off of that, we're really waiting to see what's going to happen to that 4 ride, right? We know that ride is pretty much up in the air for next year, and Josh Berry is set to make an announcement. I mean, we all know Kevin Harvick is involved in that. So I expect that if not this weekend, coming into next week, you're going to hear Josh Berry signed to Stewart-Haas Racing for 2024 to drive that 4 car. Yeah, I know it's a Ford, Lawrence. You don't have to rub it in a little bit. But And what a better guy to get a fit, man. You've seen what he's done over here in Good Equipment at Hendrick. I mean, not having the seat time that some of these other guys had that moved into Good Equipment. Josh has really been able to kind of make a staple name for himself. And I know it's Hendrick Equipment, and I know it's really good stuff that he's getting in, and I'm sure he'll have a little bit more of a struggle over there at Stewart Haas, depending on what they do in the offseason to gain that program back up to what we saw, a couple years ago. But I really don't know if there's a better fit out there. We've heard talk to Carl Edwards coming back. Casey Kane has even mentioned, he considered a return to NASCAR. And honestly, I think this is the time for these guys to do it, right? You have these teams that are offering, third team cars, Denny Hamlin at 2311 has not been opposed to running that third car for Kurt Busch if he gets, cleared medically. And why wouldn't Carl Edwards fit in, or Casey Kane fit in, and Trackhouse 91, the Project 91 team over there. So I think it's just that time, and I think really and honestly we're going to see some things change with these Chargers in the next couple of years. It might not happen next year, but definitely I think by the 2025 season you're going to see some things happen with Chargers. I think it's time to freshen up the playing pool. I think that some of them, they're again, some of them need to kind of back out. Rick Ware is going to be up in odds. I mean, Ryan Newman's there now, but I think that, the best bet and venture for him is probably to sell that team. And who knows, you get the likes of Dale Jr. maybe. You get the likes of some other ownership that might want to make a return, Ganassi or whoever might want to make a return or start off in NASCAR. And you've got some guys out there that if they're willing to do full-time commitment, whether it be a retired driver or somebody that raced Cup Series in the past, you got a lot of young talent out there. And with Martin Truex Jr. future, coming up in kind of, the end of his career, and Denny Hamlin maybe not having very many more there at JGR, a couple good rides opening up there. And we've seen it in years past. I mean, Hendrick had to do it. JGR is already starting to build it. I think Christopher Bell and Ty Gibbs, like them or not, are two really good young talented drivers. And I think if you fill two more young ones in that seat, you're basically doing what Hendrick did over there at Hendrick Motorsports. So you got to get them while they're young. You got to get them while they're willing to learn and still teachable and not set in their ways. And a lot of cars are coming up. So I'd say over the next 2 to 3 years in NASCAR, you're going to see a complete change. And man, when you're going to be talking about, Kyle Busch being the old guy and a couple of these other drivers that might still be in it being old guys and all this young talent, it's going to be interesting to see. So the sport, again, is growing, and I think it's headed in a great direction. So, but like I said, a lot of good news to look forward to in the next couple of weeks, I think, with that announcement from Josh Berry, and definitely glad to see Alex Bowman back for sure. So happy birthday, Joey Logano, man. Sliced bread, baby, celebrating a birthday today. So I'm sure he's enjoying his day there again at Charlotte, home track, pretty much for a majority of the NASCAR team. So I'm sure he's around that area cutting it up and having a good time, man. Hopefully pouring a little something strong in that Coca-Cola. I know that, man. You got to enjoy them, because another trip around the sun is nothing to bat an eye at, man. None of them are given. So, but oh, yeah, there he is, man. Yeah, there he is, back there. So, but, yeah, congrats and happy birthday, Joey. So, 2311, man, running a tribute to Michael Jordan, the man, the myth, the legend himself, coming back to Charlotte this year. If you know anything about Michael Jordan, he played college ball at UNC there. The 45 of Tyler Reddick, which seems to be the car number they run the schemes on, man, which is kind of neat. I mean, I thought it would be the 23, obviously, but I love both car numbers. I mean, 23, 45, Jordan wore both those jerseys. Going to be Tar Heel blue, man, with the Jumpman on the hood. It's really it's a pretty legit, sweet-looking scheme. And I tell you what, 2311's had success with the Jumpman schemes. Kurt Busch won last year at Kansas with it. Yeah, man. So it's gonna be awesome, man. So Tyler Reddick has a shot to keep that going, and maybe get a crown jewel in the helmet up there for Tyler Reddick running that Jordan scheme, man. But it's awesome. I love it. I love not only to see it for Michael Jordan there again, returning to his roots of where he played ball and his area, but also the Jumpman on the NASCAR. I mean, there again, I said it when Jordan got in as majority owner and Denny Hamlin's kind of a minority owner in that. I said I think that 2311 has the potential to sell more merchandise than any team in NASCAR history just because of Michael Jordan. And we hadn't really seen too much of it yet. I know there's a big influx in it, but once you start seeing Jordan Brand come out with NASCAR themed Jordan stuff, whether it be shoes, whether it be shirts, not Tyler Reddick, not Bubba Wallace, but just Jordan brand theme stuff, I think you're really going to see that take off for sure. And some of this stuff, I mean, hell, I'd probably buy this one, man. That's a pretty good looking car. Tyler Reddick's pretty decent little young talented driver. So the more they grow that fan base over there at 2311, more merch they're going to sell for sure with that Jumpman and the Air Jordan, man. So that's going to do it for the NASCAR news, man. We are getting into the checkered flag for charity. And if you're new to the show and tuning in, like I said, we're running it for Jamie Shearhouse Monroe, a good friend of mine, personal friend of a lot of folks here at Coaches as well. Lost her husband and her mother in a very short period of time earlier this year, and just trying to help her out with the finances that go along with it, man. She's got an older dad there as well, so just trying to figure out how to take care of life and manage a household on one income when you were used to having two, and kids and everything else that goes along in life, man. So if you don't know, what we do on Checkered Flag for Charity is whatever car number wins that race, we donate that into the swear bucket, and that goes to Checkered Flag for Charity. And Kyle the Martian Larson, as I like to call him, Young Money, makes another one. It ain't $1 million check, but it's a nice $20 bill, man. Anything under Christopher Bell, we always donate that, and $5 just ain't going to cut it for the 5 of Larson. So 20 goes in there, man. That brings it up to $2,535. Did a really good job with this cooler full of joy here this past Saturday for the turnout. So I do want to give a big shout out and thanks again to all the patrons of Coach's Corner and everybody that came out and supported the yacht club, and not only that, supported the cooler full of joy. So we've got a couple more coming up here over the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a couple more. After that, we're going to kind of shift gears and move on to something a little bit different. So Jamie, I love you, you know that, and I love everybody that came out and donated to that cause, man. So like I say, when you come out, make sure you bring a little bit of spare cash, get in. You never know what you're going to win, man. We've got some big things coming up. Not only do we have more Cooler Full of Joys, we're going to have some Braves tickets thrown into a couple of them throughout the summer months here later on. Probably some Dogs tickets, depending on it. I might even get some NASCAR tickets here for the July race to run here in June. Some grandstand tickets there, so if you're a NASCAR fan, you might have an opportunity to win some grandstand tickets to go see Sunday's race as well. So whatever we can do to get some more money rolling in for these charitable causes that we do here at Coach's Corner, the more the merrier, man. But again, thanks to all the patrons, and like I say all the time, it doesn't matter if it's nickels, pennies, dime, 10, 20s, 150s, whatever it is you got to donate, man. Throw it in. It all stays local right here in the Savannah area. And the best part about it is, man, you get your feel good out of it. You're doing something good for your local community, and you got a chance to win some pretty cool shit. So at the end of the day, it's just a win. And do want to say thanks to John and Adele Henderson. I didn't mention them in the beginning part of the show as I normally do, for not only allowing me to do the show up here, but also allowing me to run the Checkered Flag for Charity in the Cooler Full of Joys, and everybody that goes along with it, from the Bennett brothers to the waitresses and waiters that come out and help sell tickets, and the bartenders, and everybody at the Coaches family, man. Thank you guys and love you guys a lot. So before we go any further, man, the helmet. We're going to talk about the Kevin Harvick again, man. We were trying to gain some subscribers. I tell you what, we were at 282. We lost a couple folks went away, man. We are up to 288 subscribers. So Lawrence, what are you saying? You throwing up 4? We were setting the bar at 5. I think that was a little high for a season. 400 subscribers, and we're letting the autograph Kevin Harvick helmet go. This is the last year, man. All you got to do is subscribe to that YouTube channel, hashtag forever, and basically what we're going to do, the way we find the winner is once we hit 400 subscribers, we're going to ask Siri or Alexa to pick a number, and whatever number she picks, 1 through 400, that's who gets the helmet, man. Shipping, no cost at all. You get it shipped to you. We'll contact you, get your address, and make sure you get this beautiful helmet, man. So, like I said, 400, we're at a 288. So we gained 8 back, man. We would be at a 290, 10 away from the 300 goal, which is this bad mamma jamma right here, baby. Bam! Still in the wrap. I'm telling you, this thing still has the blue sticky wrap. This is 06. This is a 06? Let me see. Da-da-da. 06 hood of Dale Jr., baby, Budweiser. I mean, look, blonde tips, frosted tips. Man, this is the true Dale Jr. mini hood, man. So if you want a nice, cool piece of NASCAR retro memorabilia, man, this thing's going on, let's see, Shit, man, it's almost 20 damn years old coming up, man. It ain't got long to go. And Dale Jr. looks a lot different now, y'all. But this will look sweet in the man cave, in the bar, wherever it may be, man. So look, we're only 12 subscribers away. So if you got some buddies out there, you got some friends that are NASCAR and they haven't subscribed to Rubbin' and Grubbin' yet, make sure you go out and do that, man. We're giving away all kinds of cool stuff, man. So $300 for the hood, $400 for the helmet. And I tell you what, hopefully we give that bad boy away this year, man. So getting into my second favorite part of the show, it's the Who's Hot and Who's Not, sponsored by Arbor Man Tree Service. You see the hat tonight, baby. Owner-operator Parker Eccles, man. Runs Arbor Man. You're going to see that number scrolling all night long. Savannah's #1 tree service, the best. Forget the rest, man. I tell you what, it doesn't matter. I say it all the time. No job too big, too small. Give Parker a call. Doesn't matter what it is. We're in the hurricane season. You need some limbs cut back, full tree removal, stump grinding. Hey, man, if you just need an estimate on what needs to be done, man, do it before it's too late. We start getting them high winds in here from a hurricane. We never know when it's going to be and when it's going to happen, but make sure you give Parker a call over there at Arbor Man. Again, you're going to see that number scrolling all day long on the show. Parker, I love you, brother. I'm going to call you here probably next week. We'll get squared up on the Atlanta stuff, man. Love you, dude. So getting into that Who's Hot, man, this is like a back and forth battle between two guys, man. And I tell you, we got a new guy. We got an old guy, but a new guy that's taken back over the #1 spot. And that's Kyle Young Money, a.k.a. the Martian Larson, man. Man, I tell you what, that dude smoked them at North Wilkesboro. And look, taken back to put the crown back on, man. And I think this is just another one of those years, man. He's on a run. I mean, if you really go back and look at his season in a whole, and we're talking, what would that be? 3 wins, 4 wins for Kyle Larson, 3 or 4, whatever. Points paying doesn't count, whatever. I still like to throw him in. Look, when you go back and talk about, we could be talking about 5 or 6. When you take Kansas away, if that happened, if he could have held on for 2 more turns, boom, that would have been a win. Darlington, that was pretty much a win. So there's 2 more we could add in Vegas there with William Byron. I think he kind of almost had that one in the books as well. Who knows what would have happened at Dover if Ross, the watermelon lip gloss man, wouldn't have taken him out, but he did. And I was glad to see Ross Chastain finish where he finished in that All-Star race. He didn't have a car to do anything with, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm hoping that's what happens at the 600. Actually, what hoping what happens at the 600 is you get about 15 laps into that bad boy, and whoever it is, somebody behind him that he's pissed off, whether it was last year or this year, goes ahead and just walls him, takes him out, and costs him some stage points, and backs him up, and costs Trackhouse a little bit of money there, because that's what it comes down to for me, is the money. But back to Kyle Larson, man. I tell you what, the man, sky's the limit. There's no telling. It looks like to me you might as well go ahead and hand over that championship and give it to the driver of the 5 and Cliff Daniels and Mr. H coming in with another championship, because man, he's on a tear. And it seems like week in and week out we're talking about him. If it's not leading laps, it's winning races. So watch out for Kyle Larson, baby. #2 on the hot list. Look, I know the man's caught a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of NASCAR fans out there that don't like him. I don't care for him either way. I don't dislike him or like him. But that's Bubba Wallace, man. And I've got to come up with another nickname. I got to come up with a nickname for Bubba, a good one. I know a lot of people call him Bubbles or whatever, but I got to come up with a good one for Bubba. I don't think that one's fitting, man. So the next couple weeks, hopefully by the bye week coming up in about 3 weeks, I'm gonna have a nickname for Bubba Wallace. But Bubba Wallace makes the hot list, man. And I know everybody likes to talk about all the off-track and the interview stuff, which I'm not a fan of all of it, all right? But let's give this man some credit where credit's due, and let's talk about a little bit of what's going on with Bubba on the racetrack, man. Second place run there at the All-Star race, which we're going to talk about that. Been finishing in the top 5, man. Having really, really good runs, man. And I think we're just, giving them headlines for the wrong reasons, but we're not giving them credit where credit's due. I hadn't heard one person yet talk about the top 5 runs that he's had and the equipment and what he's been doing pretty quietly, man. But he has had some really, really good equipment and really, really good runs there at 2311, and I think that deserves a nod. I think we fill the headlines with what we want to do to fit our agenda to get the clicks, but Bubba Wallace right now is having the best season of his NASCAR career. He's actually showing what kind of talent he's got behind that wheel, and I think that we need to talk about that a little bit more, man, which we're going to hint on that a little bit worse. But look, man, killing top 5 over the last few weeks, 12 being the worst place finish since Talladega. We all know he had a shot to win the Dega race, but went for the money and didn't find the honey. He just found the wall. So at the end of the day, he came home wherever he finished on that. But since then, man, top 5 finished in worst place at 12. So I think that's worth a nod for sure, man. Chase the Bulldog Elliott makes the hot list, and everybody can say it's kind of, favoritism, but yeah, it's favoritism. I'll call it, man. That's my dog.
Come on, man.
That's my man. Chase running that 9 car. He's been doing quietly good. We're just slowly building that momentum, get back into that race form. And I'll tell you this, the one thing that I love is I know what him and Alan Gustafson are capable of doing over there in that 9 camp. And last year, it was top 10, top 5, top 10, top 5, top 10, top 5. Finally get the win, heat up during the summer months, get some more wins, and then all of a sudden, it was like the playoffs came, and he just went away there in the round of 8. So made the Final 4, but he just kind of went away, right? I mean, that's just something that happened. I would rather him start hitting that stride about week 25. We start hitting that stride about week 25, I think the 9 car will be hell when you look at the tracks that are in that chase. In the playoffs, the 9 will be hell to deal with. So hopefully we're building up to those wins. We got some road courses coming up. We got Sonoma. We got the Indy Road Course. We got a lot of places that Chase is definitely going to be in contention. So hopefully we hit that stride of just building that momentum up. And once we get about week 24, 25, we really start reeling out the wins. I'm still going to say it. I'm taking over 5 wins this season. I'm taking Chase to get on a streak, win like 2 back-to-back. Skip a couple weeks, win 2 more back-to-back, and be putting me right on that potential to 5 wins. That's what I'm looking at. Over 5 wins for Chase the Bulldog Elliott, but he's just been building that momentum, and I think that's deserved to be talked about. So, Chase, go get him, baby. Go Dogs, y'all. So that'll wrap it up for the Who's Hot. We're getting ready to get in the Who's Not. And this is the guy I'm going to tell you who's not. After 2 wins this season, Kyle Busch is not on that hot list, man. When you go back and look at what he has done since that win at Talladega, he has 1 top 10 finish. 1 top 10 finish. Now, I want to say it was 7th. Might have been 6th, but we'll say 7th. So look at it as this. The guy can get hot at any time. We know what Kyle Busch is capable of doing. I definitely think he's going to have some really good runs coming up at some of the tracks that we go to. But right now, he just makes that not list, man. Thank you, brother. I'll swap this one out. Boom, baby, got some ice cold refreshments down here. That's what I need, a little ice water on a day like today. A little cooler temperatures down here in Savannah, so I ain't gonna complain, but it won't be long, man. You're gonna see bullets sweating off of me out here. But yeah, man, like I said, short tracks we know aren't his thing, especially over there at RCR. They've struggled a little bit. They've had conversations about it. We saw it again at North Wilkesboro, man. When a guy like that finishes 2 laps down, 18th or a lap down, 17th, 16th, wherever he finished, at an all-star race, that's kind of not a good look for Kyle Busch. But there again, I think the 8 team at RCR definitely bounced back. I think we've got some tracks that not only fit his style, but fit kind of that team MO. This is one of them. I think that here we are at 1.5 miles at Charlotte. I think Richard Childress is going to bring some thunder. So we'll have to see where he falls if Kyle Busch makes that top 5 list when we talk about it. But I tell you what, right now, he's on the knot. Lawrence is going to love this one. It's a Ford driver. Joey Sliced Bread Logano makes the not list. Again, another guy, man. Look, I know he's got a couple wins on the season. Been doing good. All-star race, 1 top 10 in points races since Martinsville. All right? Isn't a very good look for him as well. Dover, horrible run. Kansas, horrible run. Talladega, horrible finish. So there again, I think the 22 team might be experimenting with some different setups, trying to get some stuff ready for the playoffs. We know they're pretty much locked in, got a couple wins. Man, Joey's a guy. I mean, champion last year, 2-time NASCAR champion. I never count him out. But right now, he's not doing good. I think that there again, we all know how valuable stage points are. Logano definitely needs to go out and get some stage points and get himself a nice little cushion built up for when we hit those playoffs and those stage points come into play. We never know. Might come down to 1. Might come down to a 5th place finish in a stage that costs you the shot at the round of 8 or the final 4. So we'll have to see what he does. But there again, on his birthday, can't down him too bad. Joey Logano on the not list for right now, though. Another little entity making the not list, and that's next gen NASCAR fans and the constant bitching and complaining about everything that happens in NASCAR. Whether it's the track we complain about, oh, we want to see North Wilkesboro come back, we want the nostalgia of old school NASCAR, hey, you know, and most of these kids weren't even born whenever this track was ran, you know, let alone were old enough to even understand what happened at the track or watch one of the NASCAR races. They have to go back and YouTube it to watch it. So I'm just fed up with it, man. They bitch about the track. They bitch about every single race. They bitch about every lap, you know, every rule that gets established, what we should do. This is what they expect to see right here, which might be at Charlotte under green. Who knows? Might be, you know, not. It might be under yellow. But at the end of the day, this is what they expect to see. Four-wide racing. They want to see Talladega at Martinsville. They want to see bumping and banging and drama. They want to see a side-by-side finish. These guys are way too young to remember the days of NASCAR, most of them. I'm not going to say all of them because we do have some fans that are old enough to remember single-file restarts, cautionless races, one guy leading 300 laps, Jeff Burton leading every single lap at New Hampshire and nobody ever passing him. Not many passes for the lead. One guy to two guys dominating racing off pit road, maybe might having a shot. I mean, that doesn't happen very often in this next-gen car, but if you want to go old school and talk about it, that's really what it was, and that's what makes the roots of NASCAR. NASCAR isn't side-by-side. NASCAR isn't a photo finish at every race. NASCAR sometimes is maybe having 3 or 4 guys that have really good cars and one of those 4 guys dominating the whole race. That's what happens. Spread out, tire strategies, pit strategies. That's what we lose with stage racing. We gain with stage racing, but we lose a lot of strategy and different things with stage racing. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. We're going to have to talk about that in a later episode and what changes we might see coming, probably the bye week. I got something special planned for the bye week as well, which we'll talk about at the end of the show, but we'll talk about that a little bit here later on. But as of right now, next gen, as I like to call them, NASCAR fans, on the not list. Probably going to stay there too. So North Wilkesboro recap, man. Look, to me, in my opinion, it was typical North Wilkesboro race. All-star race or not, 200 laps or not. There was passing. It just had to come back further back behind Kyle Larson because Kyle Larson absolutely murdered it. But there was a lot, and that's what you get with North Wilkesboro. I want to see the track back on the schedule. Marcus Smith has not put it out of the realm to see North Wilkesboro as a point race next year. I think that if that's going to happen, I think we need to repave. I think that we probably need to look and consider what changes we can make to North Wilkesboro because, look, if we're talking historical events, a historical track that ran like that and what it was in 1996 isn't going to be good in 2026. It's just not. With this car, it's not. And we can't build, I don't want to go out and build racetracks that fit the car that we have now because of the changes that we're going to make, right? We don't know what it's going to hit on. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think that if we make a unique short track, maybe a little progressive banking, maybe flat on the bottom to 5 degrees to 10 degrees or 5 to 14 or 7 to 14. I think if we see 3 lanes like this, you won't see that very top one get used just because of how narrow it is. But it definitely opens it up. And Denny Hamlin talked a good little point of letting the drivers kind of put their input and design the racetrack, which I think is a great idea. I really do. I think that it's time that NASCAR kind of takes drivers in consideration. We saw it with Gordon and a few others in 07 when they redid Bristol. We saw it with DW when they did Kentucky, obviously his home state. We saw it with Rusty Wallace at Iowa. So I think that drivers can hit and miss on a lot of good things, but I think we take that input in. I think we develop a racetrack that is a driver's track, a short track for drivers. I don't want to see it become a mile unique racetrack. I want to see it be a short track, unique race style that still keeps short track feel but opens up another lane. I think that Denny even talked about it, you know, different asphalts. I don't want to see a smooth asphalt on North Wilkesboro. I want to see the tire wear. I want to see a soft tire compound that eats away, that loses traction 10 laps into a run and loses grip to where it comes back into the driver's hands. We kind of lost that with the next gen. We really did, especially last season. This season, we're seeing them run a little bit different compounds at different places, which is really working out good. I think Kansas was a great compound. I think that worked out perfect. Darlington was another good one. We need that with North Wilkesboro. Let's bring in some abrasive new asphalt that's got a lot of grip but eats tires, and maybe the lower lane has that and the upper lane has a different style asphalt. I mean, there's so many things we can do. I talk about all the time. I'm going to talk about this in depth more there again, the bye week, that's going to be my schedule and just what tracks we're going to talk about coming back to NASCAR. But at the end of the day, North Wilkesboro, awesome track, piece of history. Got to get a point race on that schedule. And we're going to talk about that more here in just a few weeks. The Open, again, was a great race, back and forth racing pretty much between two guys. Three if you consider Eric Almirola getting up there for a minute. That was good. At the end of the day, Josh Berry and Ty Gibbs, the prophet, as I like to call him, the second coming of Jesus there, had some really good runs. Those guys had really good race cars. We know it there again when you kind of ran that list down of who was in it. Barring a wreck or an accident, we knew those two guys. Josh Berry being a short track specialist, Ty Gibbs being in really good equipment and not too shabby behind the wheel himself. We knew those two cars were going to run good. So we saw the class of the field rise to the top. 34 had issues there again, as I talked about, with the 54. 54 found a way to overcome the 34, kind of squeezing them down. He didn't really make contact with them too bad and got that second place, and both those cars moved on to the All-Star race for $1 million, man. But as I mentioned earlier, nobody had a damn car that was going to touch Kyle Larson. Young Money brings home another $1 million check. Look, man, the man's balling out right now behind that wheel. It doesn't matter what you put him behind, he wins, right? And at the end of the day, that run right there, I'm not going to say was like T-Rex, because to do it on 1.5 miles is one thing, to do it on a short track is another. But that was T-Rex-esque, if you will. That was Jeff Gordon 97 All-Star Race T-Rex-esque, man. That was just, I don't know what they did to that car. It passed inspection, but whatever the hell they did, man, they hit on something. So you might want to watch out when we get back to some short tracks, because I can guarantee you that's probably the car they're bringing. Whatever setup was in that bad boy right there, they're bringing, man. That was just that deserves to be recognized as a dominant performance. It's been a while, especially in the next gen, since we saw a guy dominate a race like that. But he did. So another $1 million in the bank. I'm sure the wife's happy. I'm sure the kids are happy. But nobody else is happy, man. A lot of big names faded quickly at this track, man. William Byron, to mention it, here we are, a 3-time winner this season, finished 20th, like a lap or two down. Kevin Harvick, laps down. Kyle Busch, laps down. And, to be honest, I hated to see that for Kevin. That was a 29, running that 29 car. That definitely had to hold something special to his heart at North Wilkesboro. Man, I hated such a bad run for him. I was really hoping he'd do good. And maybe even get a win there, but he didn't. The writing wasn't on the wall for him to do that. But, outside the top 20, 18, 17 for those guys, that's just not a good look at an all-star race for big names. But it happens. So there again, part of being at North Wilkesboro, man. Bubba Wallace and teammate Tyler Reddick, them boys killed it over there at 23-11. I know it wasn't a point race. They didn't really gain much off of it other than some recognition, but Bubba brought home that second place. Second place finish, and Tyler Reddick found a way to finish third. So really good to see those guys finish 2 and 3. I'm sure 1 and 2 would have been a better feel for them, a better look. Somebody coming home with $1 million. But at the end of the day, something to build momentum off of, somebody to pat your teammates on the back for, and, just kind of take that in, headed to the home track here at Charlotte. Got to find a way to get some stage points and some good running here. I mean, this is the longest race of the year, man, so got to get some stage points and some wins for sure, brother. So, again, hopefully in the future, man, we go back to North Wilkesboro. Like I said, I'm going to talk and give a rundown of a lot of tracks I think that should be given a date. Here in about 2-3 weeks, I think, is when we have that North Wilkesboro or that bye week there after Sonoma. So I'm going to give a rundown, schedule changes. I think what we should do. I think what we could do to hype up NASCAR a little bit more, and what tracks we should see come back onto the schedule or move around a little bit. So make sure you tune in. I think that's the week after June 17th or 18th, right there. Make sure you tune in, man. Catch that show on Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Gonna be a good one, but. Good show. Hopefully in the future it gets a point race, repave or not. I think it owes that. I think we owe it that. And I think especially after, that government dropping in those grants and putting the money to get that track back up and running, I think we owe that county and that state that. I think that there again, when we talk about racetracks, people fail to forget the local businesses that surround that area, the mom and pop, restaurants, the other restaurants, the ownership, the gas stations, the grocery stores, everybody wins a little bit. The jobs that might only open up for 3 days, but we get a points paying race there and we put on a good show and a venue like we did. That opens up a lot of jobs for people, whether it be parking attendants, whether it be concession stands, whether it be security companies there for porta-johns, companies there for music setup, whatever it may be, man. It just opens up a lot of opportunities and jobs in that area. So I think that's something good to talk about. But that's going to wrap it up for the recap of Wilkesboro. We're getting ready in to look at the preview of the Coca-Cola 600. But before we do, y'all, we're going to pause right here for station identification on Coach's Corner Sports Network, man. Cheers, y'all. All right, baby. It is upon us, man. The most grueling NASCAR race that we have, the longest race of the year, the Coca-Cola 600. One of the crown jewels of NASCAR. Every driver out there wants this one on that resume. They want to win here bad, man. Not only is it that home track, but like I said, it is the test of man and machine. This is a very, very, very long race. I have seen that go well almost into midnight with a lot of cautions. So depending on what happens, man, we're in store for a great one there at Charlotte. Not to mention, this is the longest day in racing. I think you have a Grand Prix. You got the Indy 500, which got to tune in and watch a little bit of that. And then to cap it off at night, Coca-Cola 600, man. So this is the longest day of racing here in America, man. You got to check it out. But keeping up with changes on the car and the setup is going to be key, man. We know this race starts during the day and goes into the night. Once that track temp starts cooling off, it's going to get tight on you. It might go the other way loose during the day. What do? Do you set it up loose in the day and have that at night? Next-gen cars are extremely hard to change and keep up with, man. We know the slightest adjustments in these cars can swing you one way or the other, and finding that sweet spot is really difficult. So this is a team effort. This is not just the driver behind the wheel. This is crew chief and pit crew, as it always is. Got to be on their A game. Got to bring the best equipment here, and hopefully when it's all said and done, you're going to be in the hunt to bring home that crown jewel at the Coca-Cola 600, man. Make sure you tune in Sunday. I think pre-race starts right around 5:30. The race, green flags, right around 6. So make sure you tune in and check that out, man. Top 5. Man, I tell you what, this one's pretty difficult as well. It's not an easy one to pick for. This is a long race. A lot of things happen in 600 miles, 400 laps there. But for me, I mean, come on, it's an easy pick. Number 1. Kyle Young Money Larson's got to be that number 1 driver atop anybody's list. I mean, he's just been murdering it week in and week out throughout the whole season. I feel like it doesn't matter where we go. They unload fast, and that's going to be key here at Charlotte. So I'll go ahead and take Kyle Larson, number 1. Number 2 for me, William the Kid Byron, man. I look at him to have a really strong rebound run after that horrible run at the All-Star race. Charlotte, there again, home track for him. Really good. 24 historic name when we talk about Charlotte. So there you go, historic number, I mean. So I look at William Byron to rebound good. Him and Rudy Fugle know what they're doing atop that box. They're going to set that car up good. Good pit stop, really good pit crew there. So I think you're going to see William Byron strive and maintain that track position all day and have a chance to win there at Charlotte. 3, look, man, we're Hendrick heavy up front. Very Hendrick heavy up front. I'll take the 9. Chase the Bulldog Elliott, man. Having a good run there at Charlotte. I think he's about due to crack the top 3, top 2 on a finish, lead some more laps, man. We saw it a few weeks ago, but we got to see him lead and dominate a little bit. And I think the 9's got a really good chance of doing that. Chase Elliott and Alan Gustafson are really good. Chase mentally is why I like him as a driver and just how he approaches the race. He's not one of these guys that has a fast car that goes out and just drives the wheels off of it. If he's got a fast one, the best of the field, he's going to get out front. He's going to lead laps. He's going to maintain a gap and not use up that equipment. Chase is very, very good at that. It's very Jeff Gordon-esque, if you will. Gordon was very good at that as well. Kind of just biding time and getting up there, and if it's not the best, finding a way to be there at the end with the changes, having a fast race car. So I'll take Chase the Bulldog Elliott, number 3. 4 for me, the guy that's won this race, won it last year, Denny Hamlin, man. Denny Hamlin right now, when you talk about Charlotte, you talk about Darlington, the Coca-Cola, or Southern 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, got to be a guy you look at. Denny is very good in these crown jewel races. They find a way to bring really good equipment, and again, him and Chris Gabehart really figure out a way to do their thing on these big stages. So I'll take 11, number 4. 5 for me, the one of Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man himself. I put him up there again, a guy that's been running top 5 pretty much all season long. Probably going to have a really decent run. I'm not going to bet against him to go out and have a good run. Not my favorite cup of tea, but you give respect where respect's due. Trackhouse and that one team had brought fast race cars everywhere they went all season long. I expect no different at Charlotte, so be on the lookout for the Watermelon Man in that one car. Since it's the 600 miles, we're going to give 6 picks, man. And this one might catch some folks off guard right here. But I'll take 23 of Bubba Wallace. I'll take 23 of Bubba Wallace right now with the top 5 streak that he's running. I know that Kansas City and freaking Charlotte are 2 totally different races, but mile and a half, Toyota seem to have a knack for mile and a half. I think Bubba continues that really good run streak. Who knows, man? This might be when you see him win that big historic event and get that real big trophy and that real big win under his belt. But I'll take Bubba 6. Dark horses, I think you got to look at the 6 of Brad Keselowski. Again, they've been kind of on that verge of just really, really fast race cars. I mean, they haven't, this consistency hasn't been in there week in and week out, but when they've hit on it, they've been fast. I think Brad, there again, knows how to get around Charlotte well, so hopefully they bring some fast equipment over there at RFK and get some things rolling. The 12 of Ryan Blaney, another guy that I feel like you've got to kind of throw into that lineup as a dark horse. Hadn't won yet this season. Odds will probably be stacked against him a little bit, but I'll take him. And the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., we've seen what he's able to do here at Charlotte before. And I think you got to always put him in that lineup when we get into that Coca-Cola 600. So I'll take MTJ as well, man. So getting into that money line, the money line presented by Redfin Polarized Sunglasses, man, the best polarized sunglasses on the planet. Man, I tell you what, doesn't matter if you're on the lake, if you got a wall hanger on the line or money on the line, make sure you see that clearly with the best polarized sunglasses on the planet. Redfin Polarized, baby. Made for the woods and waters. You see these bad boys, man, these are the Hatters. These are my favorite sunglasses I've ever owned. Man, I tell you what, these things are slick, looking good, got a style for anybody out there. A lot of different polarized colorization as well. Like I said, made for the lake, made for the woods, made to look styling or profiling, as Ric Flair would say. Woo, baby. But make sure you go online, check out redfinpolarized.com, man. And when you get a checkout, when you find that pair that you like, make sure you use Rubbin' and Grubbin' 15 to save 15% at checkout, man. Awesome customer service. I tell you what, these sunglasses, man, are the best. I love them. I can't speak highly about them enough. From the top, from the customer service to ownership to quality, these things are legit, man. So if you haven't had them yet or tried a pair on, make sure you get a pair. Redfin.com, baby. So getting into that money line, man, I tell you what, boy, me and LB are on it. Me and LB are on it, doing our thing, baby. This is what, 3 weeks in a row, LB? 3 weeks in a row, we're making profit on that money line bet, man. This past week, if you tuned in to our social media, you saw what we took. But we put a little 25 units on Josh Berry, hit a little 350 right there, plus 350 units, which I'm not going to complain about. That was a nice little hit. And then moving into that All-Star race, baby, we took Young Money Kyle Larson. And I tell you what, we had him at plus 1,000. So I don't know how we got plus 1,000 on Young Money, but I tell you what, baby, that damn sure put us in the good. We are up plus 3,575 units on the year, man. That ain't nothing to shy away from. You guys definitely need to be following us, man. But like I said, make sure you subscribe to our social media. Lawrence throws that up. LB throws that up on Facebook and Twitter every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, depending on if we bet on the trucks or Xfinity or the Cup. But you can guarantee Sunday bets. But, man, make sure you follow along. You can take and bet with us, follow what we do, or throw some of your own up there, man. Comment on that. I'd love to see what you guys are out there betting on, who you got in your fantasy lineups. I'm into all that stuff, man. I think it's really neat. So make sure you definitely throw those up there and check us out, brother. So getting into the hard right turn, but before we do, I got to get another sip of water, man. This is killing me, man. I'm out here sweating bullets right now, baby. Had to pause for that. Coach's Corner Sports Network, man. I'm getting quite parched out here, y'all. But getting into that hard right turn, man, and before we do, got to give a big shout out to Lamar up there at Lamar's Body Shop, man. Been servicing the Savannah area for over 35 years in auto collision. taking care of all your auto collision needs, man. Doesn't matter what it is. Need a new paint job, in an accident, need some bumper replacement, need an estimate for those pesky little insurance companies. We all know how that goes. Make sure you go see Lamar's Body Shop up here, 2301 Skidaway Road. Again, man, 2301 Skidaway Road. Hop, skip, and a jump away from Coaches. You can drop the car, come here, get a sandwich, get something to eat, man. Go back up. I'm telling you, Lamar is the best in the business. Him and his team handle what they do, man. They are the best. I've had family members. Lawrence had family members. We've all had people got cars repaired up there at Lamar's Body Shop. And as I always like to say, man, why settle for par? Go see Lamar, man. Lamar, love you, brother. So here we go, baby. This is what I mean. We getting into it, and this is the Bubba Wallace saga. I told you we was going to talk about this a little bit deeper in the show, and we are here, man. Bubba Wallace saga in NASCAR, man, for Bubba or for Bubba or against Bubba, man. And this is pretty much what it comes down to, man. This is the biggest divider, I feel like, in the fan base that you have out there, right? Like, I've got personal buddies of mine that are Bubba fans, and look, I've said it before. I don't dislike them or like them. I dislike some of the things he says, and for me, the biggest stuff is the woe with me comments, right? And I'm going to give Bubba credit. I feel like he's gotten way better at that. You know, the I need to be replaced, those type comments. Oh, woe with me, we had a bad car, yada, yada, I just can't drive it good enough. This and that, right? That's the worst thing for me. I like a driver that comes out and goes, hey, man, we just didn't have it today. Big shout out to this sponsor. Thank you, this sponsor. Thanks for the team owner. We're going to come back and get them next week, yada, yada, whatever. Whether you finish 2nd, 10th, 31st, whatever it may be. That's just my cup of tea. That's why I usually like Hendrick drivers, right? But at the end of the day, man, I think Bubba's gotten better. I think that he's really kind of learned how to navigate those interviews a little better. You know, this past weekend, I get it, it's for $1 million. If anybody can't find the comical aspect in the comments of what he said, then kind of get over me. You know, he mentioned something about they needed the louvers that Hendrick had. That's kind of a little shot out there. That's driver humor. Him and Larson, I mean, you know, they've got a little history there. But at the end of the day, that's driver humor, man. I mean, come on, dude. You got to laugh that off. I mean, it's not like he's out there going, oh, you know, yeah, we all know Hendrick got caught doing something to the louvers, or according to them, third-party resources or whatever. All right, at the end of the day, they're paid, they're fine, and nothing's been caught since, and they've won, I don't know how many races since then, right? All right, so at the end of the day, we got to get on past that. But getting back to Bubba, this is what I mean by either you're for him or against him, right? The one thing I cannot stand right now is, you know, when Bubba did this. Look, I just did it. All right, I just did it. I'll do it again. There we go. And I'll throw 2 swear in there, right? And you might like the show or not. I probably got kids watching my show. If that's the excuse you want to say for not liking that, and he should have been fined and he should have been penalized, and oh my God, I can't believe he did that. I've been watching NASCAR religiously. I mean, my family is very religious into NASCAR, man. I tell you what, I have family members been watching it way before me, but I've watched it consistently since I was about 6 years old with my dad on Sundays, whether I'm running outside and pop in and watch some laps, sit down, hang out, get something to eat and drink some tea with him, or whether it be, you know, sitting there watching the whole race. Once I became an adult, 15, 16 years old, I'll say, not even really an adult, a teenager, I don't really miss races, man. I love NASCAR racing, right? I watch every single lap on Sunday for the last 10 years, easy. I don't miss them, man. That is something that I pride myself in. So I have seen that same exact global sign of endearment, the hand gesture, the sign language for I love you is what I'm going to say. I've seen that 10 times in NASCAR. I've seen it from Tony Stewart. I've seen it from Jeff Gordon. I've seen it from Rusty Wallace. I've seen it from Senior. I've seen it from Junior. I've seen it from Chase Elliott, there you go, if you want to say that, getting Kyle Busch there at Bristol a few years back. I've seen it from numerous drivers, some of them you never expect, on national TV, whether it was on the race feed, like after they got wrecked out and walked down the track and did it, whether it was on the race feed when a guy was under caution and flipped them that sign for, hey, you're racing me a little different. I don't care. The interview, okay, you want to say, oh, this was that. Look, man, they kind of let those guys know when they're coming back. Maybe Bubba didn't hear. Bubba says, hey, it was towards a team member or a friend, you know, kind of a gesture out of love. At the end of the day, I don't really care. Doesn't bother me one bit. I've heard people out there down Bubba Wallace because of it. I've heard them say he deserves to be fined and points deducted. Come on, dude. Oh, he shouldn't have done it beside Jamie Little. I'm going to tell you right now, as a woman and covering any kind of sport, NASCAR might not be the same as basketball, football, locker rooms, but a woman covering any kind of sport has heard and seen a lot of things that they probably wish they didn't hear and see. That's just what it is, all right? That's just part of it. That's part of the gig. It goes along with it. I can guarantee you if you ask Jamie Little if she was offended by that, she's going to say no, not in the slightest bit, which I think we should. Let's ask her, right? 2, oh, I've got children at home watching. I'm going to take my glasses off and tell y'all. It's 2023, man. I'm going to tell you like this. If kids nowadays are watching NASCAR, and any kid that watches NASCAR that understands what that hand gesture meant probably got a laugh out of it. Any of them has probably done it in between their buddies at school at least once, knowing you're not supposed to do it. Now, for everybody out there that's lives in a religious home that watches NASCAR and is against cussing and those forms, sorry you saw that, right? If you got to change the channel, change the channel. But at the end of the day, man, look, it happens. We live in a world today where sex sells, sin sells, anything. It's been that way for a long time. We cuss. The music that's out there, the society and just the pop culture, it's a lot of cussing. It's tattoos on the face that say a lot of things. It's tattoos on their body that say a lot of things. It's wearing t-shirts that say a lot of things. It's songs saying things that are way worse than a hand gesture that is nonverbal. So we're going to end that one there. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Y'all need to get off Bubba on that. 2, this is my biggest pet peeve when it comes to the Bubba Wallace saga. It is news outlets and articles and papers that want to write about a racial comment said on the radio. What was said, I said it earlier in the show, and I'm going to say it again. What was said was basically, go back to where you come from, you asshole. You don't belong in NASCAR. Nobody wants you in NASCAR. All right, basically. Now look, I can understand how people, because it's directed as a black driver, that people say that's racist. To me, that comment's not racist at all. And what I think is the biggest deal out here is when we're never going to quit dividing that line until we respect Bubba as just a man, as another driver. Treat him as any other driver. Okay? And I think it's time that we do that. I think that, we have to look at it like this. Yes, he's, an African-American driver. He's a black driver. At the end of the day, there should be no difference in between what is said, right? So let's say that, I don't know, somebody's from German descent. They came over from Germany 20 years ago, and, they were driving in the car and somebody said that. And because they said, go back to where you come from, is that going to be a racial comment? Do you write the same thing about a lighter-skinned nationality? Let's take it right here. I'm going to ask you, Kyle Larson, for example. If somebody was to come on to Kyle Larson's radio, hack into it, and say those exact comments, will we have the news outlets writing another racial incident for Bubba Wallace? I've seen it. I've seen it through the Atlanta Journal. I've seen it through Charlotte. I've seen it through different, streaming outlets. It is a way for them to gain popularity for the article that they write through clicks or through reads. And I'm sick of it. I think that is something racist to do. I think that you're gaining popularity or gaining, representation or gaining more eyes on your article because you're labeling that as a racial comment. And I think we got to stop. Now, we already went through the whole thing at Talladega. I'm not even going to feed back into that. I'm not going to do that. We're at a different time and age in 2023 to where if we don't have a little bit of thicker skin off comments of what people say, and that's the first card we're going to pull out, we're in a world of hurt. We're never going to come together. We're only going to continue to fall farther apart, man. So again, like I said, I can't stand that. That to me is the biggest issue. It has nothing to do with Bubba Wallace directly himself, Bubba Wallace, but it has to do with all these people. That's the first thing that you do when it comes to Bubba is we pull that card. I'm over it, man. You got to give the man respect as a man, not a black man, not an African-American man, as a man. All right? Just a straight, genuine man. So until we can do that and until people kind of get their head out of their ass and, we're always going to have those people out there that look at it one way and others that look at it another, that's fine, man. But you got to give the man some respect, all right? You don't have to like him, whether you like him as a person, whether you like him as a driver, you don't have to do that, but you got to give him some respect. And I feel like these new news outlets that basically do that are just using him worse than anything else. I mean, I think that's a racist thing to use them. I mean, come on, man. And at the end of the day, like I said, I don't find those comments to be racial one bit. I don't know if Bubba did. He didn't hear it. I don't know if he's commented on it and said, yeah, I find it that way. And if he does, then okay, then we're talking about a different ballgame, right? But I would think that Bubba Wallace and the skin and the thick skin that he's got to have in today's world and today's sport, it probably didn't bother him that much. So hopefully we get off that train and we just start treating him as any other driver because honestly, at the end of the day, that's what he is. He's a NASCAR driver. that's going to wrap it up there, right there for the rubbing part. We are on to the grubbing, and I've got probably one of the most tasty things on the menu. It's one of my favorite. It's a pretty simple little thing, but I've been craving one, and tonight we went with something that I wanted to grub on. So this is, boom, that Club Sammy, baby. That club sandwich, I tell you what, this thing is your classic club sandwich. It's amazing. Bacon, lettuce, tomato. I even throw some onion on there every once in a while. You got the hams, the turkeys, the cheese. Man, this thing is loaded up. I cannot wait to get into this. Hey, homemade Coach's chips, baby. These things are delicious. One of my favorite. I'm telling you now. Sorry I had to get one. I'm starving. I can't wait to get off. But like I say all the time, man, if you have not yet, make sure that you come up here to Coach's Corner, man. I tell you, there is not one bad thing on this menu. They'll cook in a million different ways for you. If you want to do a club sandwich and throw on some, you know, buffalo chicken fingers on there, they'll do it for you, man. Whatever it may be, they'll definitely throw it on. Great fruit, great food, great friends, great place. I'm telling you right here, Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia. I'm going to get one more of these chips, y'all, before I move on. But make sure you come out and support this local business, baby. Right here. Coach's, center of the universe, man. I'm about to tear that up, buddy. So getting into that other stuff, Coach's news for the sports shows, baby. Carl DeMasi, Sports Report Live. He's back in the Sound Garden. He was back last week, right? Love it, baby. Back in the Sound Garden. Coach DeMasi running down everything sports as well as prep sports in the local area, man. Golf, football, baseball, swimming, lacrosse, bass fishing, target shooting. What else we got going on? Archery, man. They got all kinds of high school sports I wish they had when I was in, man. We didn't have none of that around here. But Coach running that down and all major sports, man, giving you that. Always has some guest appearances as well, which is really damn neat. So make sure you tune in every single Saturday, 9 until Coach runs out of stuff to talk about. But right here in Coach's Corner Sound Garden again, Saturday, 9 a.m. Tune in, baby. Got to give another shout out to the podcast, man. You got to check out Coach's podcast. Him and Kyle Lawson. When is that? Tuesdays, I'm pretty sure. Tuesday evenings, man. They got a podcast. Pretty sure you can stream it everywhere you stream your podcast. I got to get with Coach and find out. But who's on first base, baby? Keeping you up to date on everything Major League Baseball. I tell you, Kyle Larson is a book of knowledge on it, kind of similar to me on NASCAR. That man knows all kinds of stuff about baseball. DeMasi's no slouch. He knows a lot of stuff. They're talking Braves. They're talking the race. They're talking best team in baseball, worst team in baseball, best pitching staff, who's got the hitters, who got the quitters. They're talking everything, man. So make sure, there again, you tune into that podcast, stream it, follow it, anywhere you stream your podcast, man. So before I get out of here, man, I usually use this point right here to talk about something near and dear and a little social issue that we got going on or something social that we got. And I'm going to tell you guys, we got a special holiday weekend this weekend, man. You know, we all know it's Memorial Day weekend. We all got that Monday off of work. We're all going to go out, whether it be at the beach or the pool or with friends barbecuing or with family members, you know, service members that are still in or out, you know, family members, friends, whoever it may be, right? We're going to go out and have a good time. I want everybody to be safe, man. But the biggest part about that is let's not forget what Memorial Day is really about and what it's here to, you know, celebrate, right? And it's really a somber holiday. You know, Memorial Day is basically us in the remembrance of all, you know, our service men and women that paid the ultimate price and sacrifice and lost their lives during war or combat or whatever it may be. So, you know, at the end of the day, let's always keep that in our hearts. Let's always keep that in our minds. If you're religious out there, let's pray for those families that did lose, you know, their loved ones that were in the service, whether it was at war or whether it was, you know, any time they served. Doesn't matter what it is. That's what it is. That's what Memorial Day is all about. Let's not lose sight of that. I think here in America, we like to have a good time on our holidays. Obviously, Independence Day, you know, Memorial Day, any day, Labor Day, it doesn't matter really, man. St. Patrick's Day, we really like to have a really good time in America. But let's always hold those people near and dear to our hearts that did pay that ultimate sacrifice and give their lives for this great American country that we live in and the freedoms that we have in. And for anybody out there, if you have family members, you know, or you are part of a family that somebody in your family lost their life in war or lost their life while they were in the service, or you have friends that have family members that did, make sure you reach out, you know, this Monday, this weekend, and just send some love their way, man. You know, send them a nice text or give them a call, pick up and have a conversation with them, give them a hug. just make sure that you really pay remembrance and what Memorial Day is all about, man. So again, I'm out of here. Hope everybody had a great Wednesday. Hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight, man. Again, like, share, follow, all that social media. Subscribe to that YouTube channel, man. Like I always like to say, hug your loved ones. Tomorrow's not given, man. If you wake up in the morning, it's a blessing. Let's not forget that every sunrise that we wake up is a blessing for us, man. So stay safe, have fun. Kids, y'all out of school, while out. Don't give your parents too much hell. And as always, man, till next time, have a great time out there this weekend, Memorial Day. Be safe. And as always, y'all, bam, wash your hands. All right. Love y'all.